All right, welcome in everybody. Welcome to some more Final Fantasy Randomizer action as we're in week 2 of our spring tournament. It's week 2 of the Swiss rounds, which will be 6 rounds, so every racer gets at least 6 races. Tonight's match is between Elastoid and Sledge. They're both 1-0 runners, so coming in, they're matched up. They both won last week, and you can see they both picked their own party. There's a little bit of differences here. You've got Fighter Black Belt, Red Mage, Black Mage on Elastoid's side, and Sledge Calamy is going with what we call our Fighter Rainbow, which is Fighter Red Mage, White Mage, Black Mage. So, pretty standard party compositions. Elastoid is favoring melee, where Sledge has a little bit more safety with White Mage. So joining me in the booth today is One Fine Day, and how's it going today at One Fine Day?
Doing good. Elastoid's party, I'm not sure if I like pairing a fighter and black belt, but it's something. I guess he is hoping for some great grind tile that gets some mileage out of the black belt. Sledge's party is pretty standard fare. Red, white, black. It's hard to go wrong with it. But we'll see how this plays out.
All right, and I'm going to actually let the runners go. It'll give them a little bit of a countdown here, and then we'll get everything started. And actually, I believe these are the same parties both of them ran last week. So I know I saw Elastoid's race, and he did the Fighter Black Belt, Red Mage, Black Mage. I would expect him to dan off that Black Mage or that Black Belt pretty early so that he can funnel experience onto the other 3. And then if he finds a really good spike tile, he's going to take a single person grind and get that black belt up to 32 or whatever level he's expecting to get to today. And I was looking back to do a little bit of research on these runners. They actually did a race on the spring tournament flags not too long ago in the end of January, and Sledge Calamy won that race. It was with the Volcano Week, so slightly different flags than what we're doing today. This week we're doing Earth, so there's an incentive item in the Earth Cave. But should be a really good race. I don't know where Elastoid finished on that one, but it'll be fun to watch. Sledge is newer runner, and Elastoid has been around a while. Oh, it looks like out of the gates, Sledge hit the wrong button, accidentally hit B instead of A, and so he went back, but looks like some really good magic to start out. Lit 3, Quad X, Brack, Cure 2 was in there in Life, but that Cure 2 and Life are in the 2nd and 4th slot, so I believe that's White Mage learnable only.
Yes, the 4th slot and white magic will only be available after promotion for a red mage or a knight. The last way making an interesting play, going to Provoca first. I've seen this play utilized in a few races, and I've considered it myself. It eliminates some of the risk of going to TOF at level 1.
Yeah, and I know that I've talked to him in the past, and he likes to do this first, especially with that Lightning 3. You've got a good sweeper. You'll get at least a level here, so you can use level 2 magic of whatever you get. And he's got a decent amount of money, so he can go right in and hopefully get all of his level 2 spells right away. Ooh, and quite a bit of gold there that Sledge found, which is a nice early pile of money to be able to, once he gets to Provoca, he knows he should be able to buy all those spells.
Not just that, but also buy some supplies, which is very crucial in the early game. Only heals and cures in the item shop in Provoca, so Elastoid probably made the right play here. Just an Iron Shield that will be quickly outclassed by the Silver Shield that Sledge found in TOF.
Yeah, and Sledge has already made use of that life spell once. His fighter died once. Looks like he's actually died again. So he's gonna be able to use that life spell throughout the game. Where Elastoid's gonna have to wait until promotion to get that.
Tier 2 black magic has temper, so that would be great if we brought a ninja, but we did not bring a ninja.
Oh, an opal bracelet at the princess. That's really nice to have with you for the whole game, or you can always go and sell it if you feel like you're low on money.
I also got the crown at Bicky, and I didn't catch what the king was holding. The herb.
Yeah, it looks like thank you to Groggy Dog for a tracker. He's taking notes for us, so if we miss anything, he'll see it. And he did have the herb there, so. And it looks like, Elastoid knows this play really well of going to Provoca, and I'd say he's a little bit ahead right now just because Sledge has been buying a bit more supplies and still has to go over to Provoca and make his way back over this way.
True, but Elastoid will have to buy those supplies too, so. I also saw that there were silver bracelets for sale in the Provoca armor shop. That might work out in Sledge's favor because silver bracelets are going to be the best armor you can buy for your mages that's going to be cheap.
All right, and for anyone who's not familiar with these flags, is Elastoid's going to pick up his herb and the opal bracelet, but the canal is loose, but it's not incentivized in this flag set, so that's one of the first things the runners will look for is either an early canoe to be able to get out to Volcano and Crescent Lake and the Ice Cave, or the canal to be able to get their ship out to the rest of the world. So that's really the biggest gate in the beginning is you need either a canoe or the canal in order to open up the rest of the world to you.
Oh, we didn't see this earlier, but the armor shop has iron and chain armors, so very nice finds. I'm surprised Elastoid did not put a chain armor on his red mage, who is Rydia in his sprite set.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Elastoid will show throughout this race is some of the different sprite changes you can have. I believe his Fiends and Chaos are different sprites as well. Like one of them is Team Rocket, and there's a few different sprite changes that we'll see throughout this one.
I'm not sure Sledge went back into the Canaria armor shop to buy that aforementioned armor. Going without it would be a critical mistake, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's always really nice to be able to get that armor early, and he definitely had the money for it, so that'll be interesting to see how that affects him. Oh, and the Oxyale's picked up from the herb turn in at the Prince, so that's another key item that's going to move towards go mode. I was kind of surprised to see Elastoid not go to Matoya's or the Dwarf Cave first, but maybe he's just chasing the incentives.
Well, there's Nuke, so Elastoid also getting Ice 3, even with Nuke in the spell slot, so I mean, technically Ice 3 can roll a little higher, but Nuke is going to have way higher accuracy. And also we found Exit, so there's our teleportation spell. It is Red Mage learnable, so a lot of the incentive for running a White Mage has flown out. There's still that life in the 4th slot, I believe it was.
Yeah, I believe life was the 4th spot, so he knows that he'll have a life spell after promotion. There's a lot of really good magic early in this seed, so that will go a long way to making this a lot safer throughout. I didn't see what Matoya had, but there are no new key items on Sledge's screen, so probably just maybe some armor or a sword, which that would be great.
It was basically just a little bit of gold, not really worth walking out.
Yeah, and that's one thing on the way to Matoya's. It's really nice to be able to save outside of there. Save yourself some time walking out if it's not enough money or a good enough item to waste the extra 30 seconds or a minute to get back out. And Dwarf's Cave has just some money as well, and the Northwest Castle gives us the slabs. We're going to fight Astos, but we do know that the runners are going to have to go into Marsh Cave, which is usually not the play that anybody wants to make in the beginning of the game.
Well, it is better to get it out of the way early if you have to do it.
That is true. I mean, and at least if you've checked the rest of the chests and you know that you have to go there, at least if your opponent is going there as well, anything you find, they'll probably find along the way too.
An interesting decision from Elastoid. He did not go to the Dwarf Cave or Matoya, I believe. So he's going to have those checks, it looks like he's actually doubling back to go grab them. I would have preferred to just get those checks out of the way before doing this crown turn-in.
Yeah, it can be really easy to see the crown, especially with the crown and the herb early, to just go, okay, I need to head to Elfland and then up to the Northwest Castle. But it does, and it would really stink if the canal were up here and you went through Marsh Cave without checking.
Well, I think Elastoid isn't checking the level 4 shops, whereas Sledge is, and gets warp for his trouble, or at least he sees warp in the shop. But with exit, I don't think warp adds a whole lot. Makes Ice Cave a little faster.
Yeah, really, Ice Cave and Ordeals are the two where warp help a lot, but at this point, it's not worth the money not going into Marsh Cave if you already have exit. Oh yeah, Matoya just had a silver knife, a cabin, and a little bit of money, so Elastoid resets back out, doesn't want to take the walk back down to his ship. Ooh, wolves have a spell list. So far I've only seen Invisible 2 from them, so that's not too bad. You just a little bit harder to hit them, but there could be some nasty spells hiding behind there.
And this is just one of those situations where you really don't want to take overworld encounters. I mean, I get why Sledge is doing this, because he wants experience, but Astos will get you to level 6. And with level 6, you'll have that exit available to you.
I did see Sledge get at least one house early, so he can be a little bit more liberal with his magic usage, although I don't know if he'd rather save that house for after Marsh Cave to make the walk back safer, but we'll see what he does.
Well, obviously, Sledge has to go to Astos and get that experience haul from Astos, so I'm thinking he's going to use that house after getting Astos, get his spell charges up, and he'll be going straight into Marsh.
Oh,
The Elastoid
yeah.
heading to Marsh Cave, right? And it looks like Elastoid is double dipping Elfland, so that's going to be a bit of a time loss for him. I'm not sure how many cabins he's got.
Picking up heal 3, that can go a long way to make you a little bit safer at the end there. And he does have enough money for warp, so he'll get it right away. It's really about the only spells at level 4 that you wanted there, so he knows he won't have to go back and get more magic.
Now, my preference with this early Elfland would be that I would really, really like, if possible, to just get all my money before going into Elfland at all. That way I can just make one pass into it. Because the last time I made a double dip, Sledge will have to get back there if he wants that heal 3 and warp. I don't think he'll go back and get him, though.
Yeah, those level 4 spells are quite a ways out of the way, and Elfland is, I'd say, one of the biggest towns, so it does take a lot of time to go and get those spells. Now, when you go into Marsh, do you like to go top of the Marsh first and check those 4 chests, or do you like to dive all the way down to the bottom?
It's really 50-50 with me. My preference is to go top just because I'm hoping that Marsh is faster. But with Exit, going bottom Marsh is perfectly fine. One of the issues with going in the bottom of Marsh is that you're going to have to fight a trap tile fight to get that Wizard Guarded chest.
Yeah, welcome in here, old man. Sledge does have his mouse over his screen there, so everybody might be seeing 2 mouse cursors on your screen. Don't worry, it's not your computer. It's part of the stream, and it's gonna be right there for you.
Well, there's
Sledge does find a loot. So that's nice, knowing that Canal is in here. Well, Canal might not be in here with that loose adamant if it leads to the canoe, but at least they had to come down here early and found that loose item in the beginning.
Now, what do you think? Do you think that you would get out with this adamant and see what it turns into, or would you go down to the bottom of Marsh?
I think I would check the bottom of Marsh. I would try it at least once or twice, and if I wiped out and wasn't able to see a good portion of the chest, then I might run up and see what the adamant turned into. But since I'm here, I would probably go out and save and then try to go and dive back into the bottom.
I'm a bit surprised. Neither player elected to use their exit spell. Sledge is walking it out, and Elastoid has just walked out, and he's going back down to the bottom.
Yeah, Elastoid might be trying to save some of those spell charges. He just has it on the red mage, but Sledge, it shares, I think, with ice or with life, but probably could have used that spell charge and not had to worry about it too much.
Well, I think he was saving. I think Elastoid was saving his charge for this trip to the bottom here. He doesn't have a house, and he'll only have the one charge of exit.
Yeah, Elastoid finds those scorpions, and that black belt gets knocked down, but I believe that was what he was going to attempt. He's at level 6, so that's pretty decent for a level to be able to start a grind later, but I know that he likes to funnel his experience to that fighter and mages as soon as he can. And that canal is in Marsh, and that's actually a really great chest to find it in, because that one is linked to the very top left chest on this bottom floor. So if you do wipe out and you don't feel like checking anything else, you can come in, dip down and get that one chest, and then get out right away.
Yep. Sledge does get that linked chest, and I think he's going to go and check the rest of these. Here's some nightmares and an evil man. So very high value fight. Oh, and they bring out crack. This is not good.
Yeah, and it's unrunnable as well, so you have to try and fight through. We'll see if Elastoid wants to dive any deeper or just says, I'm going to get the canal and get out of here.
Rip.
Yeah, I think with that knowledge, I would keep diving in until I got the canal out for sure, because there's no guarantee that the adamant is going to lead to a canoe.
Why? Knowing that the canal is in a free chest, I will just get the canal and get out as soon as possible because I do not want to fight that again.
And Sledge went and checked that linked chest. That room still has another one. He's gonna find the nightmares and the evil men with cracks, so hopefully he can make it through.
And Sledge makes it through. Nice experience gains. He's at level 9 with his party.
Yeah, he got really good turn order and got those nukes off right away. It looks like Elastoid wants to check this chest as well. He'll find his gold, but really just hoping on turn order to get that nuke out before anything. Yeah, as your old man says, Marsh is doing Marsh things, especially when one runner doesn't see what's that nasty trap tile has, and Elastoid dying to it twice already. Sledge is coming back with a nice bit of gold, so he's gonna be able to get anything he wants from Elfland. Probably pick up a few. I think there were houses in the item shop here, and if not, he can always go to Canaria, pick up a couple houses if he wants, and should be set up to make it through a good early part of this game without having to worry about gold too much. It looks like Elastoid is sick of that trap tile, so he's just gonna skip over that nightmare encounter. I think that's a really good call. Wants to see what else is down here. You know, you don't want to leave Massmune in the Marsh Cave when you know your opponent's gonna be down there, but it's a good idea to skip over that trap tile when you know it's as bad as it is. And the adamant turns into the TNT, so the blacksmith was just a little bit too lazy to go walk down to the bottom of the cave and hand over the TNT. So we'll see what Narek has for us today as well. It's always nice to be able to go in only once or twice to the dwarf cave, and that's a chime. So that opens up the Mirage Tower for him. Elastoid makes it out. He's got his canal. He's got the adamant. So just a little bit behind Sledge. He found that crack twice from those nightmares. And the third time in, he decided to not even deal with them. He only missed out on some gold, so he's not missing anything major by not getting that chest.
Sorry, Distracted for a bit.
So Sledge coming out. We'll see if he goes Earth Cave early. Might be just checking Melmond here. They do have the slab, so it looks like he's probably going to turn that in. Maybe check what his armor is, and then see if he goes to Crescent Lake to get the free incentive item, or decides to dive into Earth, or head down to Onrak here. I think I would personally go and try to save here and then sail over to Crescent Lake to see what's out there. And if I don't have to save in between, if it's something like, you know, the Thor's Hammer or Power Gauntlet, something that I don't need right away, I would just reset back and dive into Earth Cave this week, because that's really the safest play at this point. And if you go down to Onrak, you can get into Sea Shrine, but I don't want to see what's in Sea Shrine until I have a couple more levels.
Yeah, I think I'd follow a similar path as you suggest. Go to Crescent first, obviously, because it's free.
Yeah, always nice to get those free checks out of the way. Check for the vendor item, which we haven't seen a vendor item yet, so you might find a nice item there. And it's Space Drake, you were asking if Elastoid was going to leave the black belt down. I believe he will. That's what he did in last week's race, is he liked to get experience onto his fighter and 2 mages, and then once he found a nice grind tile, then he brought the black belt back and did a solo grind to just get that black belt leveled up.
Sledge running low on cabins. He's going to have to hope that Crescent will allow him to restock.
Yeah, I'm sure he's really glad to have Nuke here, because you can find some packs like that with the Scorpions and Cobras, and they can do some damage to you really quickly. And we do find the rod for 9,500, so this is an excellent play. You know that you've got an incentive item in Earth, and you're going to have to do it eventually anyways, but having the rod before you go in makes it so much easier. You don't have to double dip Earth Cave.
So Crescent is a twofer, and that's definitely why you want to do the freebie first, because it's never fun to go into Earth without the rod.
Plus, he's going to walk out and have 10% more experience from every flight, and he found the floater, so once they find the canoe, they know they'll be able to be in the air right away. And it looks like Elastoid's going to follow the same path. It really is kind of an easy call as a runner to go and chase that loose. There's been so many times where Crescent Lake has had the item that you're looking for. Runners are going to high five here as Sledge is leaving Crescent Lake, and Elastoid is just heading into that area. Looks like Sledge is going to head to the south route. I'm not sure if he's heading to Onrak or just checking to see if that dock is there, and looks like he's going to keep going. Oh, no, maybe he was just checking for that dock to see if the extended open progression was on. Elastoid finds some peds, and we know they've got between 250 and 280 health. That's not too bad, and they can give you quite a bit of experience pretty quick.
Cha-ching!
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Elastoid power cycle coming out of Crescent Lake here, and maybe look to see if he can find those peds, because they were not hard to kill. You know you've got an inn right there to save in.
Nothing happening in level 6 magic. Now, I don't know why Sledge is taking this girl pack. if I'm on the overworld, I really just want to get to the next dungeon because he's already at level 11. Just gotta level it. Just got 11. And 10 is certainly enough to tackle the Earth Cave.
Yeah, that's for sure. Especially, I mean, you've got 3 grind tiles to check right here in the first floor of Earth Cave. So if you're worried about levels, I would be racing to those trap tiles just to see what's there.
Oh no, and Sledge does not have a house, so he's minus some of his spell charges going into this Earth Cave. That's not a good feeling.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes for him. It might have almost been better to sail over to Canaria, pick up some houses, because I'm pretty sure he has the money to do it if he would want to.
Just a heal hat in the upper Earth B1 room.
And Sledge realizes that he hasn't put his opal bracelet on anyone, so he's been walking around with no armor on the entire time. Elastoid is taking advantage of that encounter cycle. He knows that he wants to walk off that first 3-step encounter, and then he's got a nice long run, and checking out what's over in the Hall of Giants here. Yeah, neither one of those is anything that you really want to see. Mummies wouldn't be horrible if it was just mummies or mummies and whiz mummies, but not with cockatrices, and the spiders and arachnids aren't worth your time. Sledge is diving down. He's on Earth 2. I don't think he checked all of the first floor chests, but if not, he's got a ribbon that he could have with him right now. But a lot of people like to go through Earth and then come back and check these chests at the very end. That ribbon can come in very handy, especially once he sees nightmares again. He knows they have crack, so that's going to help him out with resisting a lot of the different magic throughout the game, and it provides resistance to pretty much any elemental that's out there. And Elastoid remembers he didn't save after warping out, so goes back out and makes sure to save.
And Grogers are not runnable, so this is going to chew through Sledge's limited charges. Unfortunately, he does have the 2 Black Magic casters.
Wow, 2 ribbons and Earth Cave, so that's some really good endgame gear that you've found already. And it really is right now neck and neck. They're both going into the same room. They are right in the exact same position. Checked. I think Elastoid has checked the first level chests where I didn't see Sledge check all of those, so Sledge will have to go back and find that ribbon at the end, but they are just right on top of each other. Both of them know they can dive all the way through Earth, so we'll see them neck and neck for quite a bit here.
Was that giants or iguanas with Rob?
I thought it was giants before, but I know it was definitely on that pack, so that's never something you want to see. Those 2 ribbons will help to reduce the chances of that rub hitting, at least for 2 of the characters on Elastoid, and the one that Sledge has, I believe.
Good thing for Sledge is that he does have life for this dive.
Ooh, Geese and Spectres. Geese have stun, and I saw a squint in there, so with the large packs you can get for that, it's always a little scary when they pick up some decent magic or decent skills.
Sledge down to 18 heal potions. If he's not careful, those will be exhausted by the time before he's out of here.
Yeah, he does have heal. I believe he picked up that heal 3, and I think he should have some healing magic on that white mage. So that will help a lot, but it looks like he's already rationing, and that black mage is pretty beat up as he is. It's really good to see these runners neck and neck. Sledges is a little bit newer. I think he's been racing for about a year now, where Elastoid's been around for quite a few years. And so you can see, Elastoid's definitely got a lot of experience, knows this randomizer pretty well inside and out, but he does lose his fighter there, and I don't think he has access to life.
Oh, that's going to be bad news for him.
It'll be interesting to see if he decides to keep diving in with just the 2 mages, or says, I'm going to get the vampire and exit out, and then, bring that fighter back before we finish off the Earth Cave.
Well, I think if you leave the Earth Cave early, you are committing to putting off the rest of Earth until you are either in go mode or you have nothing left. But I think with Nuke, it's possible to get through with these 2 mages, so you have to make a go for it.
Yeah, and it looked like the vampire wasn't too tough. I didn't see what chest Sledge picked up, or what he picked up from that incentive chest, but we should see it here on Elastoid's screen momentarily.
Who?
Oh yeah, so he finds the crystal there in Earth Cave, and I believe Sledge picked up that chest as well, so he should have his crystal, but I didn't see him go over to it at that point.
And we'll find out soon enough if he has that crystal. Yeah, he has the crystal.
So at this point, the runners are going to start thinking about, they still have to make it through Earth Cave, but they're going to start deciding where to go next. I think the obvious play is definitely go to Matoya and see what that crystal gives you, because if she gives you the canoe, you're in the air immediately, but if she doesn't give you the canoe, you have Anrak and the Sea Shrine left. I think that's about the only thing they have access to.
Oh, they do have the chime, so they can go into Mirage Tower.
That is right. There is a dock there. That was one that I always forget, and I know that a lot of people like to go to Mirage or Sky early, because there are a lot of chests to check very quickly there.
And those giants give Zink a dirt nap, and Zeke a dirt nap. And Zine a dirt nap! Oh no, this is going really badly for Sledge.
Yeah, gets really lucky to run there with the white mage. He probably couldn't have done any damage with the white mage, so good to be able to run away and at least bring two of his characters back and get ready for this Lich fight. That's never something you want to run into right before a Fiend fight.
Yeah, I would have preferred to bring back the two mages with the two nukes, because that white mage does not have any attacking ability whatsoever against Lich.
And he's going to run in with Fighter on top and then the red mage in the second spot. I think I would have moved at least one of the people down to the third or the fourth spot, so you can funnel those hits onto that fighter and keep your mages just a little bit safer down on the bottom where they get less hit.
Oh, and the fighter has no weapon. I'm guessing, though, that the red mage had a lot of charges left over. But he gets through.
Yeah, and at 39 minutes, both runners pretty much killing Lich simultaneously. As you can see on Elastoid screen for just a second, he does have Death there instead of Lich, so that's another one of his sprite edits to the game. One of the nice things about having the crystal is you're gonna go past Canaria, so anyone that you want to bring back to life, you can stop in town, and you really don't lose any time by stopping in there to get it, because Melmond doesn't have a clinic. It's a pretty beat up town. They did find some dragon armor down in the Earth Cave. That'll be really nice for when they find the tail and get promoted. It's really the best armor in the game for that knight. It has resistance to fire, lightning, and ice magic, so even without a ribbon, at least you have some safety from the three main elemental magic classes. And Matoya is holding the canoe, so that opens up a good part of the world to the runners. They can go southern continent, they could go to Ordeals, they could go to the volcano or ice cave next, or they could go see what's in Anrak and the Sea Shrine and the waterfall. So that really opens up a lot of different checks, and we could be seeing a seed that's been pretty well linear all of a sudden branch into some different directions. So we'll see what Elastoid and Sledge decide to do here.
Well, obviously, one priority is get that airship.
That's right, I completely forgot that they had the floater already. So yeah, you book it and get to the Ryukin Desert as quick as you can so you can get in the air, and that opens up the rest of the game completely.
Sledge running into some issues because he does not have saving items. It's going to take him longer to get to where he needs to go.
And Elastoid there taking advantage of some of the little things in the game where when you walk onto a river and off from a river, you don't get encounters, so he saves a couple of steps towards encounters by taking those corners just south of Crescent Lake there.
So first stop for Elastoid, I think it's pretty standard. Go to Sarda and see what he is holding.
Sarda has the cube, so that's one more main progression item and opens up all of the floating castle.
Chance already calling it sky, 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 sky. Well, I think there's a lot of places you can check that are going to be a lot nicer, and obviously there's still Cardia, so that could be our second loose item. Smarter? Sure. Hype? No way. Nice, Groggy Dog.
Sledge doing much the same, going over to Sarda, pick up his cube, and Elastoid's gonna find the bottle, which is really nice to have in Lefane because you just have to get on your airship and fly north just a little bit to turn that one in.
There's the 10-pack of houses for sale.
Elastoid finds Quake at level 7. Probably not something he's going to go back for. It's a nice instant death spell, but net level 7, you really don't get a whole lot of uses for it for the game. And gonna check level 8, probably just looking to see if Fast is here. Sledge decides that he's gonna go to the Castle of Ordeals right after Sarda, so this is gonna see the runners going in different directions. We'll see what this bottle turns into that Elastoid picked up in Lefane. If it's Thor's hammer, then Sledge may not even have to check what the slab turns into, but if it's a progression item, it'll give Elastoid a slight lead. He may have to go to Ordeals anyways.
Generally, in these flags, I prefer to just chase down all of the turn-ins I can, so I can eliminate the possibility of going into a side dungeon. Now, it's very likely that these players will have to go into at least one of the side dungeons.
Yeah, I would.
Oh, Elastoid gave the Titan some special text.
Wow, Elastoid finds the loot and the mass mune at Titans, so that slab turn in and bottle are definitely going to be necessary, and it gives him the best sword in the game. Plus, just following that fetch chain gives him a lot more experience, so if he's looking to get that black belt to higher levels quicker, each incentive turn in gives him a 5% boost to his experience.
Well, for Massa, you don't really need a black belt. Your Massa fighter is going to be as good as a level 32 black belt as far as hitting power. Or close to it anyway. And with the 3-man party, it's far more likely that Elastoid is going to hit level 24 on that fighter.
Yeah, and with the magic they have already, with Nuke pretty early, Tempers are early. Really, at this point, with Fast and a level 24 or higher fighter, or Temper and a 24 or higher fighter, Fast isn't necessary if you don't find it. It's nice to have, but it won't be a make or break spell by any means. Sledge makes pretty quick work of that pillar maze. That's always a hassle. I know lately I've been getting lost in there quite a bit. Elastoid does take advantage of having warp going into the ice cave. That's not something you can do in the vanilla game because Warp isn't available yet, and he finds the Pro Cape and the Power Gauntlet, so that's an excellent pickup. It's going to give him free temper charges, or I think it's saber charges, but free attack power on that fighter, especially for the Temple of Fiends or any major bosses in the future, so that is not required. You wouldn't have to go into Ice Cave unless we find a loose item here, but it's always nice to have and makes your trip a lot safer. And Sledge finds the tail in the Castle of Ordeal, so technically neither of these dungeons was required, but both of them have items which are going to help you finish the game a lot quicker and a lot easier. And Elastoid finds the Excalibur in Ice Cave as well, so he's got the two best swords you can find for that fighter, and may be able to decide to move Massmune over to his Red Mage if he wants to get some more melee at some point. Oh, and the Vorpal, so just about any sword that Elastoid could want for the end of this game is in his hands, because he's found Excalibur and Vorpal here in Ice Cave, found the Massmune already at the Titan's Trove, so he is good to go for swords. He'll just have to go to the Castle of Ordeals in order to find his tail and promote. And it looks like Sledge is going to promote right away. Check the chests that are here in the Cardia Isles and going to be able to move forward. And I like these chests. They're nice. They're pretty quick to get to, especially with an exit and warp spell. And you never know what's going to be in the... I think it's about 13 or so chests that are in Cardia, so sometimes you'll find some really great gear down there.
Well, one good thing for Elastoid is that there's a possibility he doesn't even go into Ordeal to get that tail. And because he has Massa, he doesn't need to promote. He should be good with what he has, although that will mean he does not have life for the final dungeon. And that could be a game changer.
Yeah, that is true, and he wouldn't be able to use that dragon armor, which Sledge, having the tail, will be able to use pretty soon here, but Elastoid definitely has the experience to be confident enough to go into the Temple of Fiends without promoting and work his way through, especially with Massmune in his hands.
Well, Elastoid is taking some time to grind these red hydrants to get him some levels. I think he knows that he's going to be moving pretty fast, and oh no, Edge takes a face plant.
Yeah, that stun touch is pretty nasty from those red hydras.
I don't know if I want to be grinding these knowing the stun touch is there, and they don't seem to have rolled particularly low HP.
Sledge did get promoted, and I believe that in Cardia he found both Pro Capes. That's really good. That's the best shield item that any of your mages can use, so that'll help quite a bit.
Not just the best shield item, but it's the only shield item you can use as a white or black mage. Buckler doesn't count.
Yeah, that's very true. I always forget about that fact, and even that they can use the buckler, because it really doesn't do a whole lot for you. It's not even worth the time to put it on.
Yeah, I've got some uses of the buckler. Some purchases of the buckler. It's defense. If I have chain armor otherwise, or I need something on a thief.
Oh, and maybe it was just one Pro Cape. I thought I saw another Pro thing, so maybe it was a Pro Ribbon, but either way, good to pick up at least one of those in the Cardia Isles. Got some decent gear. Hopefully he'll remember to equip that dragon armor on his way out. There we go. Elastoid goes into Crescent Lake, decides to bring Edge back, and he says, "You know what? Puff can just sleep for a little bit longer. He's had a long day already, so we'll just let him take a nap for a while longer here."
Well, I started looking at the volcano and it says nope.
Yeah, he's gonna go into ordeals. We know that he'll eventually find his tail, and so that'll lead him to promote and be able to use all of the gear that he has. And Sledge made his way up to the waterfall, gonna see what the robot has for us.
So these runners really only need the key between the two of them to be in Goma.
Yeah, that's true, and it could be here in the waterfall, or it could be loose, which a loose key is not necessarily the thing we want to find.
Hopefully, Sledge remembers that he needs to turn in that slab and do that whole chain to eventually get his mass moon and his loot.
Yeah, he did. Some people like to keep the slab until you have the airship, so you can see it in your inventory every time you go in there, but I believe I saw him go up right away. And so that was, close to 20 minutes ago, and sometimes in a race, it's easy to forget whether you've turned that into Dr. Oon or not. Sledge does find the key, so that second loose item isn't going to be required. It should be the Thor's hammer that's kicking around somewhere, because we found pretty much everything else already.
I believe it's Thor hammer, an opal bracelet. Do we have the opal bracelet? Oh yeah, we got the opal bracelet at the very start. So Sledge, if I remember correctly, the power gauntlet was in Ice Cave. That is a dungeon Sledge will not have to complete if he remembers to turn in the Sledge.
Yeah, that's very true, and that could save him a lot of time. Elastoid has been clearing through these dungeons at a pretty quick rate, so anytime you can skip a dungeon completely, it makes you feel a lot more comfortable, and it gives you a definite advantage. So we see Zap and Life 2 here at Onrak in level 7. I don't think that we saw what spells were in Lefane, but if I remember correctly, we've seen everything else, so the black magic spell there should be fast.
Now, the worst thing that could happen for Sledge is that he starts digging for items in this sea shrine. Because he has the two ribbons, we know where the mass moon is. Really any gear that he finds here is superfluous. It's about the only thing that would be of really great use is the defense sword.
Yeah, that's very true, and he doesn't know where that mass moon is yet, so he could be looking for pretty much any of the endgame swords were in Ice or the Titan's Trove, which are both locations he hasn't checked yet, so it looks like if he's going to the right early here, he might be going and digging down to the mermaid's floor to see what they have for chests today.
Oh, this is bad news for Sledge. This is going to be a huge time loss.
Yeah, and checking all of the rooms. I know these two floors with mermaids and the one before it here that Sledge is on are the ones that have taken me the longest to learn. I actually, before a race, will pull up a map on a browser tab, so if I need to refer to it, I can, so I don't lose as much time checking into rooms that I wouldn't need to.
Sledge remembering that he does have the key, so we get to see what's in the refrigerator. and it's a whole lot of nothing. And that chest has never, ever held value for me in my entire time playing this randomizer. I think I've found something in just about every other chest in the game, but never there.
Yeah, and that's the one weird chest that no one knew was key locked until the randomizer came out and someone tried to open the door without the key and you just ran into it and bounced off from it for a while until you pushed A and it said this door is locked, even though no one knows why because you'd have to have the mystic key to get into the sea shrine.
My theory on that is that the maps were designed before Sakaguchi and the crew figured out what the scenario was going to be for the game, so they had all these interesting key locks. There were key locks in Temple of Fiends, there's a key lock in Sea Shrine. I believe that's it. Funny thing, if you talk to the door in vanilla, you can actually know that those keys are locked by the Mystic Key. Those doors are locked by the Mystic Key. Melee Wizard asks, how many doors in TOFR are key locked? Just one? No, I believe it is at least the door coming out of the loot room on TOF floor 2, and a door on the fire floor that is locked by Mystic Key that you would need to unlock to progress.
Sledge does find the sun sword down here. It's, right now it's the best sword that he would have, but we know that he's going to find better swords going forward, so at least he found something that's going to be of use throughout the rest of the Sea Shrine, but still a little bit of a time loss going and digging down to get all those chests.
And Elastoid is looking a lot better on levels than Sledge right now. I believe he's probably around 18.
Yeah, and Sledge is at 16, not too far behind, but still, that those Hydras helped out, and Elastoid having just 3 party members to split that experience with, I don't believe he's had to take quite as many fights in order to get to level 18 either, which has saved him some time. Elastoid moving that light axe up onto his fighter, so he decides that he wants to have Harm 2 available for mummies so they can help to take out those packs a little bit easier and without having to use as many magic spells. And Waterfall is just such a good place if you can take the fights. And like Elastoid's having no trouble with these Gasties. It's a lot of experience real quick for just walking through where you need to go anyways. It's a great place to get some levels, and then with the floating castle coming up soon, they're not going to have to stop and level up their characters at all along the way. Sledge finds the Aegis Shield, which is a really nice pickup. It's going to be far enough out of the way that Elastoid probably won't go down and check that chest, but it's the best shield in the game. It gives you resistance to poison effects, so it can give that fighter really great resistances that you can't get anywhere else. Elastoid picks up his key and he knows that he's in go mode now. He just has those 3 dungeons that he has to fly through. He's got really good gear, so he's just gonna keep making his way through. And I do not think that he has access to life 2, so that's gonna make it a little bit scarier going through, but I think he's gonna be able to get the levels along the way to get some HP and make his fights pretty safe going into the Temple of Fiends. But really, we'll see the difference between Elastoid having done those incentive chests or checks outside of this continent, and then Sledge not having done the Lefane turn in to find the loot already, because Elastoid knows he doesn't need anything else out of here, so he can just run right to Kraken if he wants to, where Sledge is looking for that loose just in case the loot is loose, because a loose loot could be pretty much anywhere in the game. Elastoid decides to save on spell charges. He's just gonna go and attack with the silver knife on his black wizard, and does a little bit of damage, but at least he's not using up those spell charges when he doesn't need to. And Sledge really, other than the Sun Sword, hasn't found too much here in the Sea Shrine, so not a whole lot of items for the end game. We know that the swords are in Ice Cave and the Titan's Trove, but Sledge hasn't checked those yet and may never even go into the Ice Cave. Now both runners are on Kraken's floor. They're going to be taking that fiend fight pretty soon here, and we will be able to see what Kraken 1 has for us today. Do remember to give these runners a follow. They, doing some great Final Fantasy Randomizer action. Actually, a really good race today. They've been pretty even. Sledge is a little bit behind without having done the incentive checks, but still within a few minutes of each other, an hour in. And we know that Elastoid is in go mode. Sledge will be in go mode as soon as he checks Lefane and gets that ruby to turn in, so that fetch quest that he has to do. But really, both doing a really great job with this seed. They've been working their way through pretty nicely and should be taking on Kraken real quick here. So yeah, and as you can see, Elastoid with the Kraken Honda and Sledge going up against Kraken, we can see the difference between their two strategies right away.
Kraken Honda.
Throwing out some tempers, throwing out Brack on Sledge's side, trying to get that. It's about a 25 or 26% chance for Brack to land, so a pretty decent instant cast spell to throw out there, but that Mass Mune is just too much damage for Kraken to be able to handle, and I suspect that Sledge will be able to take Kraken down pretty quick here as well. Only 64 damage from that Sun Sword, though, so it could be a little bit of a slog to get through this fight. There's a nice critical hit for 281. Going for a lot of damage, throwing out nuke, throwing out Brack. There you go. The nuke lands almost like top roll nuke, 394, takes out Kraken and Sledge and Elastoid, both lighting their second orbs within a minute of each other, just like the first orb. Really, really a tight race. Sledge just has to finish some incentives, and then he'll know that he's in go mode. And Elastoid heading up to the floating castle, gonna go and we'll see how many chests he decides to check, knowing that he doesn't need that last loose item.
So, Vampire is renamed just Vamp in Elastoid. I'm guessing this is a name change that he did so he could fit the Kraken, Honda, etc. into his.
Yeah, I would imagine. I've seen some of the. I've never tried to change wording and any of that stuff in the ROMs, but from what other people have said, it can be quite hard because if you mess up the spacing and some of the things that you put in there, it can really throw off a lot of things throughout the entire game and have some weird chat like text messages that you see.
Yeah. And I have a feature, Randomizer, which does alter the enemy names for obvious reasons. I have a feeling that it would break with Elastoid's head.
Oh yeah, I would imagine. So you definitely know the enemy system in and out with having the Randomizer and the Spellcrafter that you've made as well to create pretty much a whole new experience for Final Fantasy 1. Sledge does go down, gets his bottle, he'll go turn that in, which will turn into the ruby, and then he'll get his loot and the mass mune from that chest, so he will have all the gear that he wants and be able to clear through the last two dungeons. Elastoid obviously knows that already, so he's going to be able to just go and finish out these last two dungeons, and we should be in the Temple of Fiends, and it's really should turn out to be a pretty quick seed for both of these runners. That was just level 23 on that night, so that mass mune after the next level will get an extra hit, so Elastoid will be able to do quite a bit more damage every time that he goes, and 24 is really the breakpoint that you're aiming for with that mass mune.
I'm surprised that Elastoid is checking all of these chests. Did he not have the key, or what?
No, I think he does have the key. I don't know, maybe he's looking for that third ribbon for extra safety. Or he could be looking for the white shirt. I don't think he has Invis 2 on his red mage, so he might be looking for the safety of those evade stacks.
It's possible. I mean, I would be just going as soon as I'm in Gomo with 2 ribbons and a massa, and a power gauntlet to boot.
Yeah, and with as quick as this seed has been, I wouldn't feel comfortable at all with anyone that I was racing against, because at an hour 12 with 2 orbs and knowing that you're in go mode, it's going to be a pretty quick seed. taking every fight that he can as he's going down here. So Elastoid looking to get whatever levels he can. Sledge goes and picks up that loot. I didn't see him get the mass mune, but I would imagine he checked all of those chests. Yeah, he did. So that's good. That lets him know that he's got the weapon and a lot of the gear that he's going to want to finish this out. And looks like he might be heading over to the volcano, which is a good idea because he's right in that area. It's not very far away, so you might as well take out what you can as quick as you can. Sledge is looking for some more gear too. He's going to go into the armory and see what's in there. Really not too far out of the way for the mass quantity of chests that you can get. And he does get a gold bracelet for his efforts of looking, so at least that's better gear. I don't know if he has bracelets on everybody. And the defense sword, which could go a long way. As well as the third ribbon, so that could give Sledge a little bit of an edge in terms of endgame gear, where Elastoid may not even take the time to check out those chests. Welcome in, Cheesenator, and Elastoid is on the Bridge of Destiny, so go ahead and get those bless RNGs out in the chat if you want to see Warmac today. Looks like Elastoid will make it right through. We do know we'll have more chances with Sledge going through. There's usually quite a few encounters on that bridge, so Sledge will be able to take on that bridge shortly. He knows that he's in go mode, and he's definitely got the gear to do it, especially with finding that defense sword. And Bowser shows up on Elastoid's screen, so we will see how he does against Bowser. Three hits, 367, still more tempers coming out, poison coming out, and taking out his black mage edge, or his black wizard, but at least he's got tempers up on that knight and 812 damage. Too much for Bowser. Bowser is down, and Elastoid has 3 orbs lit, an hour and 15. He's in go mode. He just knows that he's got to go run through the volcano. Sledge is running right through. He's took a bull's fight, and 2 of his light warriors were down, but he's at least got the life spells, so he can bring them back up. He's going to go right down to Carry and take out Carry on this volcano here. Shouldn't be too tough of a fight. He's got the gear. He's got the levels. Should be able to go in there, and Elastoid is taking advantage of the Lefenish hospitality. I think he knows that that Fast is going to be in this black magic shop, unless I missed some along the way. Yeah, and there it is. Fast for 23,000, but even there, it can be worth it with 1 or 2 charges if he gets a couple levels on that Black Wizard. Sledge takes out Carry. That was a quick fight. Barely even saw it, but so 3 orbs on Sledge's side, about an hour and 17 minutes, only about a minute or 2 behind Elastoid getting his orb from the floating castle, so they are really neck and neck, and I think Volcano's going to be a faster clear for Elastoid, so it should work out to be a really interesting race. It's been neck and neck the entire way. Sledge is gonna go and check out the chests here in Mirage. I'm not sure what he's looking for. He's got 3 ribbons. He has the Mass Mune. He didn't find Excalibur or Vorpal. Those were in Ice Cave, which he never had to check. Or he might be looking for the Power Gauntlet, because he hasn't found the loose Thor's Hammer yet. So he might be wondering whether Power Gauntlet or Thor's Hammer is the loose item. And there is the Thor's hammer, so he knows that the two loose have been found. If he remembers that Thor's is a incentive item. I know that one's pretty easy to forget sometimes.
Well, I think everything on Sledge's tracker is lit, so there's just this clear of air castle for him to go through. I don't know exactly what he's looking for. I think he's looking for I guess he's looking for better gear, but if I'm him, I want to go.
I think the only thing that we haven't really seen is the white shirt that, would warrant digging for, but even so, he's got the levels, he's got the gear, he should be able to make it through Temple of Fiends,
Did I see a defense in Sledge's inventory? Because if so, that's pretty much everything you would want. You have an evasion stack, you have tempers. It's time to go.
Yeah, he found that defense and the ribbon in the volcano armory, as Cheese says in chat there, and yeah, he should be just going right through. If you want to do a couple greed checks, not a bit, if you're feeling unsteady, but really it's like those 4 chests on Sky that are a couple steps out of the way. And Elastoid skipped over armory, but doing some of the greed checks here. Not really finding too much. I think anything that he was looking for, namely the ribbon or that defense sword, were in the armory that he decided to skip over.
So it should be pretty close going into TOFR. Definitely less than a wipe between these two runners. Unless he gets tripped up by these fires.
And we see Team Rocket here in the volcano. Team Rocket not very strong today. They had less than 500 health, so one turnaround and Elastoid makes quick work of them, and he's gonna probably just go stock up on heal potions, get any last minute things he needs, and he's gonna be heading on his way.
Meanwhile, Sledge is stuck in this bad man encounter. These are some bad men.
Elastoid comes back, gets quad X. I didn't see him get any white magic charges on his knight or the red mage life spell, so we'll see if he goes back in, or maybe I just missed it earlier.
Well, I think Elastoid wants to get all those keylock chests in hopes of finding some gear, and this will buy Sledge some time. Sledge has a few more floors to go. Elastoid is moving towards Provoca. I guess he's doing some spell shopping.
Yep, picking up Invis, that's a good call. If he hasn't found Invis too, at least you have some charges of Invis.
Does cut into his temper charges though. Invis is only plus 40 evasion on a single target, so uses of that are going to be very sparing. Maybe on Kraken 2, but probably just on Chaos.
And a good call to get a gold bracelet for that Black Wizard. He really wasn't wearing anything for that main armor slot, so at least fill out your armor there and, make it a lot easier to survive, especially if you're only going to go in with 3 people.
So Elastoid is being very deliberate with his purchases. I think he needs... I'm not sure if he needs heal potions still. But this is definitely giving Sledge some time to catch up. Where Sledge is just getting stuck in these fights, and it's taking a lot of his energy.
Elastoid's gonna go and check these key lock chests as well. Definitely looking for some sort of gear. Finds red dragons, might decide, if he's not comfortable with his levels, he might decide to fight here and maybe try to get a fast charge on his black wizard, but we'll see how much time he wants to spend.
Now, Elastoid making these checks, though, you see, even though these Keylog chests are thought of as free, Sledge has been able to make up about 2 floors on Sky Castle, and he's been taking fights along the way as well because Sledge is worried about his levels. So sometimes free chests are not free.
Oh, and he did pick up life on his knight, so that was definitely a good move. That will help a lot going through Temple of Fiends Revisited, but still not happy with his gear. Sledge is going to be on the Bridge of Destiny, so we might see a war mech yet today. I believe he's on a different encounter cycle than what Elastoid was going through here. Yeah, and the bridge is definitely throwing a little bit of everything out. We saw some nachos, a fighter, some slimes, but we still haven't seen that war mech, and we'll see if Sledge gets it before fighting Tiamat. He could use the levels if he decides to fight a war mech if he were to find it. Elastoid decides to go in, so in an hour and 25 minutes, we do have our first runner into the Temple of Fiends, and he's gonna just go. Looks like he's pretty, at least somewhat happy with the levels. Doesn't want to take the time to fight those frost giants and frost wolves. Sledge is up to Tiamat, so gonna be going on to his last fiend fight here, and we'll see. He's got all 4 warriors up, gonna heal up real quick, and should be starting that fight momentarily here.
Chief Nader makes a good point. Sledge does have that life magic, although I do believe Elastoid picked it up on his red mage. I remember him going into Canary to pick up magic, so...
Yeah, I know I saw it on his knight. I would think he's got it on his red mage as well, but yeah, Sledge's levels are a bit lower, so he's probably going to want to take some time to get some levels before going into the Temple of Fiends, but having that 4th light warrior for safety going into Temple of Fiends could be a big difference. Sledge taking advantage of that mass mune, 9 hits, 961 damage, so taking out Tiamat. And he's got all 4 orbs lit, an hour and 27 minutes in, so really has been pretty well neck and neck the whole way. And we'll see what he decides to do before diving into the Temple of Fiends. Sledge goes in, gets the life magic for his knight. We'll see if he picks it up for the red mage as well. Wow, and while he's doing that, Elastoid went right through Lich 2, didn't even barely see him on the screen. I'm sure he disrespected him quite a bit because he went through really quick to get past Lich 2 already. And there's Team Rocket blasting off for the second time in this seed. The last Sledge is going to go get some level 2 magic. Throwing out some nukes, gonna try the Quad X and has a good shot. Yep. So Team Rocket has less than 300 health and Quad X takes care of them. So makes that fight a whole lot easier and saves some higher level magic for Elastoid.
You know, getting a whole fistful of water here, 6 of them. And the last one had actually taken this fight instead of running away. I would probably want to run. If that's possible. But Art is at level 30.
Yeah, Cheesenator pointing out in chat there that if Sledge had written down the magic and, you know, knowing all the permissions, could have saved about 2 minutes without having to go out to all the magic shops and check them and find a lot of shops where there was nothing of use. Still looking for more gear, so he's going to go into the Dwarf's Cave and check the key locked here.
Now, I don't understand why Elastoid is still taking fights. He's level 30 on that night. That is more than enough for endgame.
I think the only thing that he might be looking for is to get that red wizard above 400 health when it's fully healed, but he should be pretty close to it as it is right now.
Although I believe the levels do mean that X-Ice, the red mage, is going to be able to tank a nuke at full health.
Yeah, with that 410, he should be out of even a max roll nuke, so he can, you know, as long as he's at full health, he would be able to take that. So, see what Kraken Honda has can sometimes be a really hard gatekeeper in this Temple of Fiends.
And he's preparing the piston punch.
Not too much health on that Kraken Honda. Looks like it was maybe a little bit over 1,000, but not too bad. Kraken can definitely get a whole lot more HP than that.
Elastoid's still taking fights, and Edge gets wiped in one hit. That must have been Death Touch.
Sledge has made his way into the Temple of Fiends, so trying to chase down Elastoid. He's working his way up, almost to the earth floor here. Gonna get there pretty quick, and so if Elastoid does, you know, if anything bad happens to Elastoid here, then Sledge definitely has a good chance of pulling this out, and it's definitely been neck and neck the whole way through, and it's gonna continue that way the rest of the way through this seed.
Anything can happen with Chaos, although I believe Elastoid's got a much better prepared party for this, for these fights, and here comes Bowser 2.0.
Yeah, Elastoid did specifically go to Lefane to get these 2 fast charges, That'll help a whole lot. Plus, he has the Power Gauntlet, which is free extra attack, where Sledge never went to the Ice Cave, so he didn't find that Power Gauntlet, which was incentivized at Ice.
Bowser not hitting for much. 2 hits, 56 against Art.
Throwing out the Quad Axe doesn't work, so Bowser has more than 300 health before this round, and Art goes and hits him for 600, still hasn't taken out Bowser, so. Definitely a strong Tiamat fight here.
Still not down. That has to be at least 1800 HP? I don't know how much, but finally goes down. Not much of a threat.
Sledge finding some unrunnable worms on his way through, so that's slowing him down just a little bit. Still has a pretty decent chance if this chaos is anything too nasty.
So what? Go ahead.
I like Elastoid's plan of moving his gear there before starting the fight, because I've already talked to him and hit the button too many times, and all of a sudden you're fighting before you moved your gear.
And here's Gruber.
And that slow 2 lands right after fast, so negating the fast, at least it's not slowed, it's just going to be a normal night action at this point.
Some fiddling with the movement. Gruber misses R.
And a Cure 4 right away. It's always good to see that early if Chaos or Gruber is going to have it. Sledge is taking on Lich too, so working his way through. More tempers, 786 damage, and Gruber just throwing out Lightning 3. Nothing too bad yet from Gruber. And there it is. Elastoid takes out Gruber. And
GG.
so with an SRL time of 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 32 seconds, Elastoid is going to get the win for this game. It's really been a tight race all the way through. Good job to Elastoid. Sledge is on his way on the fire floor, so really, really been neck and neck the whole way through.
Uriel in chat asking, is Elastoid's game an Xmas game? Of course. Yes, it is.
And we'll work on getting Elastoid in here for an interview. Sledge making his way through. He's taking out Carrie too, and onto the water floor. So really making some pretty decent time as well. And welcome in Elastoid. Really well done. You blew right through that seed. So how do you feel after that?
That felt pretty good. I think the only issue I had was trying twice to get turn order on them nightmares, but beyond that, I was fine.
Yeah, you get to see that crack twice. Sledge actually went in. He got turn order with nukes and was able to take out the nightmares right away. So he didn't even know that they had that crack. But
of course, what was behind it?
It was like 3,000 gold, maybe a little bit less.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
I didn't think it was necessarily going to be a loose item or anything. I thought it was good to be sure, and it was also, potentially a great deal of XP if you can get that turn order.
Yeah, that's for sure, especially that early in the game. We were wondering, what were you looking for at the end there? Because you were digging quite a few chests and checking the tequila.
Well, two things. I was looking for a defense sword, or also I was looking for armor for the black mage, because I wasn't sure where gold bracelets were. And then finally I remembered, I don't think I checked Crescent Lake, so it's probably in Crescent Lake.
Yeah, I think that might have been where the gold bracelets were.
Oh yeah, when I
didn't
find anything for him, I went and grabbed it, because my black mage was wearing nothing but a pro cape, and as great as that is, it's preferable if he has some absorb.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the defense sword and that third ribbon were actually in the armory in Volcano. So if you had stopped there, you probably would have felt pretty good about your gear.
Yeah, well, I already felt pretty good about my ability to get through. I could have stopped there, like I thought about it, but I was like, this is just too much. Like, the other thing is, my black mage didn't have any fast charges, and I was also like, the reason I went to the Temple of Fiends key locked is I was like, I wonder if there's a good grind here. Like, let me see if I can get 2 levels on the black mage, and then there it was. So.
And one step before Tiamat 2, Sledge does find out about that crack from the nightmares, and they actually took out his red mage, which he didn't elect to bring back before the Tiamat fight, so he's going to go in 3-man Tiamat 2.
Yeah.
So, how did you feel about your routing on there? I mean, you definitely went really quickly through all of those dungeons. Ice really wouldn't have been necessary, but that power gauntlet definitely came in handy as you were going through.
Well, I mean, the power bong I would have readily skipped if I knew that that was all I was going to find there, because, I mean, we had temper at level 2, and it was like an uncontested level. Like, nothing else that you were using was at level 2, so would have been fine. That said, I also found the Excal in there, and that was useful, so I didn't feel too bad about going to ice. I think the thing I was most pleased about was going through going to Crescent Lake first, because I was trying to decide whether to do Earth Cave or Crescent Lake, and then going to Crescent Lake and finding that rod in the vendor item was pretty pleasing to me, because then I could just go through and one-shot Earth Cave, which wound up having 2 ribbons, so it was a good dungeon to not go mode.
Yeah, that's for sure. And actually, you and Sledge were back and forth the entire game. As you were entering Crescent, he was leaving Crescent with that rod, and you were the first 2 orbs that you lit. You both did Earth and then Water, and on both of those, you were within a minute or 2 of each other in terms of lighting the orb. I think Kraken 1, you were both fighting at the exact same time, actually.
Yeah. Kraken 1 didn't do too much. Like, I don't think anything was really a threat this seed. Like, everything sort of just rolled over and let you kill it.
Yeah, really, I think Tiamat 2 had a lot of health, which Sledge is going to be finding out here. But otherwise, they didn't have a ton of health, and I think, like, Carrie the first time and Lich, I looked up and looked down at something, and then I looked up again, and they were dead on both of your screens, so I didn't hardly see the fight for either of those.
Yeah, I don't know what Lich 2 had, because Lich 2 didn't get a turn.
Yeah, I looked up,
Car-
and you were on the earth floor, and then you were halfway through the fire floor by the time I looked up again.
Yeah, Carrie 2 took, I think, 2 rounds to kill. So, yeah, everything just sort of rolled over. I was glad in the end that I got those 2 fast charges, because Chaos started out slow 2ing on my knight there, and then just to make things even better, he had Cure 4. So I was just about finishing up my buffs, and then he uses Cure 4, and I was like, oh, well, that's convenient.
Yeah, we did mention that right after your fast, the fighter or the knight was fast for about a second, and then he was slowed again, so he's back at normal speed. So it was definitely key to have gone and gotten that fast. Sledge makes it through Tiamat 2, so he's gonna go take on Chaos, and Chad is also they're expressing the love of your sprites, and we saw a lot of sprite edits and a lot of stuff that you've done to your game to make it customized to you.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed when I came into the chat room after, because I didn't see any conversations about Hans Gruber. It's usually a thing where after I finish a race and I go into the chat, everybody's talking about whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie or something.
There was Uriel Man asked if your game was an Xmas game.
See, there it is. It's the meme. Okay, I'm happy now.
Sledge going up against Chaos, throwing out those Invis 1 stacks, throwing out Temper, and Chaos coming out with that slow 2, which Sledge doesn't have the fast to counter, so we'll see how he adjusts to it.
Oh no!
Yeah, he did fight a rainbow, so he would have had a chance to get at it, but he's actually at lower levels, so I don't know how many fast charges he would have had at this point.
And I don't imagine. Did he do the ice cave?
He did not, so he doesn't have that power gauntlet to be able to do extra stacks a lot quicker. He's should find Cure 4 here pretty quickly on Chaos, so at least he hasn't done too much damage to him yet, but Chaos is pretty punchy for Sledge, so he's punched him twice already.
He did grab a lock 2, which I didn't, so he might be alright there.
Yeah, he's got those lock 2s. Looks like he might be almost out of temper charges. So he's throwing out some nukes, trying to get some damage out, and takes out the Black Wizard. So he's going to be 3 men from here on out, throwing out some heals. He doesn't look like he has a whole lot for that White Mage to do at this point.
Chaos sniped both of our fighters with the slow 2. Like, he got his knight in the first row. He got my knight in the third row.
Yeah, and looks like he's just gonna be holding A and praying at this point. I don't think he's seen the Cure 4 yet, so that'll be a blow if that comes out. And there it is. There's the Cure 4. It's still only doing 20 damage with that mass Mune. It's a pretty high absorb Chaos. We'll see what Sledge decides to do here. Oh, and Sledge has decided that he's going to forfeit. He doesn't even want to take out this Chaos. He knows that it's going to be a really long fight if he does. So see if he wants to come in for an interview. I don't blame him at all because, he's had a really good seed, but knowing that you already lost, you don't necessarily want to spend 20 minutes fighting a Chaos. So Sledge will be coming in. I just have to send him the invite, and we'll be able to see what he thinks about it here.
Yeah, GG to Sledge. it wasn't a difficult seed, but he's still like. I mean, it's still impressive for a newer runner to get in Topher and be doing it that fast. So.
And I did look back at Speedruns Live just to see how long Sledge has been around, and actually one of his races was a head-to-head race against you on looked like volcano seeds back in January, and Sledge actually had won that one. So
Sledge kicked my ass that one, didn't he?
Yeah, I just saw a forfeit for you, but he did about an hour and a half, so it was probably about as fast as this one was. So it was interesting to see that you guys had some experience in head-to-head racing.
Yeah. I knew that Sledge was going to be a challenging, just in general, not just for a new player. I knew if we had a difficult Topher that I would probably be able to adapt better, but I didn't know that it was going to be a difficult Topher, and it wasn't. So, well, with the exception of Chaos having slow too. It looks like Sledge is gonna fight this out.
All right, and
No,
Sledge
I'm
is
not.
here with us.
I'm not gonna fight this out.
I mean, you're getting 1 damage from that white wizard. You could maybe do it, but how are you feeling after that, Sledge? It was a really, really close match between the two of you the whole way through. First 2 orbs were both lit within about a minute or 2 of each other. I think actually your second orb, you were on the same fight at the exact same time. So it's been a really great one to watch. And you made some really good decisions throughout. You were flying, both of you.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, it felt like a pretty fast scene.
I think the biggest difference was Sledge. You decided to go to ordeals right after the airship, and Elastoid took care of those little checks, like turned in his slab right away, which that led to the loot. So he knew that he was in go mode a lot quicker than you did.
Slab led to bottle, which led to something. Not loot. Loot was which might have led to Ruby. Yeah, Ruby, which led to loot.
Yes.
Yeah, and so Elastoid had the mass mune quite a bit earlier and the loot. So he knew that he was in go mode, and he knew that he had his endgame sword as well.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for. It was a weapon and that white shirt, which I never found.
So the Ice Cave had Power Gauntlet and Excalibur and Vorpal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so really, you
so
didn't miss too much
didn't
by
feel
not going
great.
there.
Would have been nice right about now to have the Power Bomb.
Well, it also would have been nice to have a sword on 2 of your guys, because as soon as he slow 2 Zeke, you could have said, okay, well,
Yeah.
Zine, you're up, and put your tempers on Zine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, how did you feel about it, Sledge? I mean, it was a really close race. It was fun to watch, so hopefully if you get
It
a
felt
chance
like
to
a
watch it
smooth
back.
race. It felt like a smooth race.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think that that's showing that you're a high quality runner. I definitely don't want to run into you next week, but that is a possibility. So we'll see. I think that'll be fun if we do.
All right.
Do you guys have any last thoughts? And Elastoid, any thoughts going into the 2-0 bracket and what you're going to see next week, or how your spring tournament's been so far?
Thoughts going into the 2-0 bracket. I'm just looking forward to the 2-1 bracket. I'm sure I'll run into Sledge there. No, it's there's a lot of good runners. I've had the benefit of going up against some of the newer runners. Sledge, no slat to you. You're a pretty good runner, and as Darren noted, you actually beat me not too long ago in a head-to-head. So,
I started only 6.
I'm sorry.
I only started 6 months after you.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you're no slouch for sure. And then I don't know. I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna wind up against someone just insane now. So here's hoping that 2-1 bracket is kind of me.
All right, and Sledge, what are you thinking going into the 1-1? Definitely, that was a close race. No disrespect to you or anything. That was a wonderful race from your part. You did a great job, and it's a tough loss, but it's a whole lot easier to take a loss by 2 minutes than 20 or 30 minutes, in my opinion. So, but what are you thinking about your spring tournament? How do you feel about today?
Just have fun. I'm having fun, so I'm enjoying it.
Excellent, great, yeah, and that's an awesome outlook on the thing. Whether you win or lose, as long as you're having fun, that's what it's all about. We're out here just to play video games and race against each other. One fine day as my comms partner. It's been a ton of fun working with you. Any final thoughts on today?
It was a fun race, really close. I would just like to thank everybody for watching, and there will be a lot more Final Fantasy Randomizer action. I'm sure Darren Drees will tell you all about it. So thank you, Darren Drees. I'll take it to you. GG Elastoid, GG Sledge.
Yeah, thank you. One fine day. Definitely a lot of action. We're at 73 runners in this tournament, 6 weeks of Swiss, so we're most of the way through our second week. There were 11 races today alone, so we're in the middle of that. Quite a few more coming today. There's, I think, 6 races tomorrow, and then it'll be 33 races for the next 4 races of head-to-head races spread throughout the weeks. So tons of Final Fantasy Randomizer action. It's a really deep field. A lot of new runners, a lot of old runners coming back, a lot of really great matches that we've seen so far, and I'm looking forward to a lot of great matches coming up. So everybody come on out, check out the Discord, follow the runners, follow the commentary crew, myself, and One Fine Day. And tracking for us today has been Groggy Dog. He's been doing an excellent job and a really fun runner in his own right. So a lot of people in this community, more than happy to help you out. So if you're interested, join the Discord, run a few seeds. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask questions. People will be around to help you out. But yeah, we thank you guys for putting on this race. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to some more action as we go forward.